Hey, it's AT time. My name is Ron Freeman, and today on Animation Trainers, we're going to be taking you through a dialogue scene that I recently completed on my Animation Trainers Patreon ASMR Animation Fishbowl sessions that I do every Saturday at 10 a.m. I started with a dialogue scene, shot the video reference for it. I then proceeded to animate it on Sundays when I had an opportunity, and then eventually starting the ASMR Animation Fishbowl sessions specifically on Saturdays, animating it and finishing it there, and then completing it, bringing it into Unreal and figuring out all that entailed, and then finally adding audio and getting ready to render it out. And to make sure you don't miss any of the other videos that we post here on Animation Trainers, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and switch the notification bell to all. And check out the links in the description below to our website and to our Patreon page, where you can learn animation with me online for as little as $1 a week. The first thing I did was decide what kind of dialogue scene I wanted to do, and I then proceeded to act out the scene in front of a video camera on a tripod and acted out as many different ways as I could think of that I would find interesting, and then choose which one I felt was the best take. Once I decided which one I liked best, I then proceeded to make sure it was in a format that I could open in QuickTime for Windows. Even though that software hasn't been updated in many years, it allows you to switch the input controller from minutes and seconds to frame numbers so that you can see exactly what frame you're on in any clip that it can open. Once I was able to break down and analyze my reference as closely as possible to the frame, I then proceeded to animate the character in Maya. One of the things that I did not do beforehand, because I wasn't absolutely certain that I was going to bring it into Unreal when I started, was to make sure that I was using a rig that was Unreal friendly. I would come to find out when it came time to send it to Unreal that the rig was not Unreal friendly out the box, and I had to find an alternative way of getting it into Unreal Engine. But having selected the character rig, I then proceeded to create my key poses. Key poses are where you're hitting an extreme and either slowing in and out time-wise or reaching the farthest point of an action or a distance to or from the body, etc. Once I had my key poses in, I then proceeded to actually animate. I always start with the root and the feet first because they're kind of the foundation upon which everything stands and what makes something feel balanced. Much in the same way that you want to make sure that your floor is nice and solid and level before you start putting up walls and windows. Once I had the root and feet doing what I wanted them to do, I then proceeded with the spine and head. Once the entire torso and feet are doing what I want them to do, I then proceed with the arms and hands. What surprises a lot of people is that the face is the last thing I do, and in fact, the mouth shapes is the absolutely last thing I do. And why might that be, you ask? The reason for that is because when we express ourselves, we certainly do so with our eyes, but very little with our mouths, outside of smiling or frowning or smirking. We usually use our mouths just to create the phonemes that we use to make sound for speech. And so for that reason, I usually save it until last, because once you put the main phonemes in and get the big jaw hits into the dialogue, I find that there's very little left to do on the mouth usually. And so finally, once I've completed the animation, all the way from big body movement down to the facial details, I'm then ready to send it to Unreal for rendering. Unfortunately, it turns out that Unreal Engine prefers that a character, when you import an FBX, be set up with a skeleton that has a single joint as its root and then everything else be a child underneath that, and this rig was not set up that way. So it turned out the best thing to do would be to create an Alembic Cache. An Alembic Cache is where the 3D software program bakes the animation directly into the vertices of the mesh so that you eliminate the need for joints of any kind or any constraints. Once I had the Alembic Cache, I then had to create the materials to match the same materials being used in Maya within Unreal, so that when I imported the Alembic Cache, it would recognize those materials and apply them accordingly. While this was somewhat time-consuming, it certainly was much simpler than having to reapply textures within Unreal. And finally, the last thing to do was bring in the audio and render out the movie. And to get the audio file into our Unreal scene, all we need to do is go to a folder that has it. In this case, I have it in my project structure from Maya, and I'm going to drag it into the content browser. That will add it so that it is available in the level. I can now go into the sequencer and select the asset here and add an audio track, and it comes up right there as being available. And so now I just want to double check and make sure that the sync is good.
Huh? Who, me? No. I couldn't possibly.
Okay, so I'm not positive if it's exactly right or not.
Huh? Who, me? No. I couldn't possibly.
Yeah, that looks right. So now that we have the audio along with the animation, obviously if I wanted to change the lighting or the camera angle or anything, I can do all that here. So if I want to add a light, for example, I can add a spotlight here. And I can go into a perspective view where I can see better. And I'll drag this light over this way. Bring it over here, like so. And angle it so that it is pointing at our guy, and then obviously turn the intensity way down. Let's make it like a 1.6. Something like that. Maybe even a 0.8. Like so. Maybe even less. How about a 0.4? Yeah, that's pretty good. All right. Let's see. Go back big again. Let's just see if I deselect this, what it looks like. We can drag it in if we wanted to make it animatable. I'm not sure what I did there. Okay. Oh, the spotlight's already in there. That's great. Okay. All right. So that's in there. And we can turn on game view or... yeah, that's fine. All right, and so now...
Huh? Who, me?
Okay, if I select that spotlight again and go out here...
Huh? Who?
I just want to get it to the point where I can kind of see... yeah, so something like this, and that's still too bright, so I'm going to turn it down to 0.16. Something like this. Okay, let's go back big again.
Huh? Who, me? No. I couldn't possibly.
Okay. We also need to have a camera. So I'm going to go ahead and create a camera. And I can go ahead and manipulate that camera to be in a place that is better for what we need. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and scale this down. To a more manageable size. All right. So let's get our camera in a position that we feel generally good about. And let's see if the focus is set to be manual or not. Okay, let's see. Does this have a certain focal point? Let's see. Okay. Lens settings, focus method. Let's go to do not override. And there we get a manual, better angle, so that's nice. We can switch this view now to that actor so we can see what that looks like. And I'm going to go ahead and rotate this down just a little bit and move it back a little bit, like so. It's currently snapping to the grid, so I could turn off the snapping if I wanted to, but for now, this is fine.
Huh? Who, me? Oh, no.
Oh, actually, I don't want it to be so dead on. So, I'm going to go ahead and turn this like that. Okay. Alright, so now we don't need to be able to snap here. Let's see, snap to the grid, yes. But we want to turn off rotation snap and scale snap. Okay. Now we can animate, rotate freely. This feels a lot better. Okay.
Me? No. I couldn't possibly.
Alright, and let's switch translation to local.
Huh?
And one last change here to like so. Alright.
Who, me? No.
Okay, that looks pretty great. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And now let's go ahead and submit a render. So I'm going to go to the render queue and open this up, and we are going to select a PNG sequence. I'm going to do that instead of JPEG. It's just so that we had alpha in case we needed it. You can also do it where it renders directly to a movie file, but that takes some setting up with plugins, and I don't want to go through that process because it's kind of technical and stuff. So if you want to do that and want to look up a tutorial on how to do that, you're of course more than welcome to do so. But I'm cool with just rendering out an image sequence. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I am going to specify to save it to the folder that I have set up for this file. So I'm going to animation trainers, animations, Ray dialog, Hahu Me, and I'm pointing to the images folder. Let's see, did that use it? Let's see, is it? Oh, that's just pointing to. No, I need to specify it. Okay, so I need to do that here. Okay. So Hahu Me, I'm going to go to here, animations, and then I'm going to specify Hahu Me and images. I'll render it to images. So I'll select that folder, and now I'm cool with the name. I'm just going to hit accept and render local. So now that's going to render the project locally here on my machine, and once that's done, I'll bring it into Premiere Pro or whatever software you want to use that you can string together an image sequence into a finished movie. And you're done. Except I forgot one thing. You have to make sure to add camera cuts to the scene, and so I am now going to go here, and I'm going to add right mouse click here in the empty part and say camera cut track, and then I'm going to add new binding and pin it to the cine camera actor. So now we're seeing that there, and go ahead and turn that on so we're seeing it in the view. And now when we select a render, we should be able to actually see it.
Huh? Who, me? No. I couldn't possibly.
And there you have it. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and if you're interested in seeing the entire process from beginning to end, please subscribe to our Patreon, where for as little as $1 a week, you can watch any and all of the videos that we create for the Patreon channel. And for $2 a week, you can actually participate in 2 different 1-hour sessions every weekend, Saturdays at 10 a.m. and Sundays at 10 a.m. Pacific time. On Saturdays at 10, I'm animating and you're able to chat with me and watch over my shoulder while I work. And Sundays at 10 are Fishbowl Feedback, where our members are encouraged to submit their own work and we all look at it and give encouragement. So I really hope you decide to check those out, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. And to make sure you don't miss more videos like this, then don't forget to like, subscribe, and switch that bell. And check out our Patreon page. Or would you prefer to have a private session with me, where we can discuss how to improve your animation skills working with me directly one-on-one? Then please visit our website at animationtrainers.com and schedule a session with me. My name is Ron Freeman, and I hope that we will see you for our next video here at Animation Trainers. In the meantime, keep it moving.